Just upon the horizon in the superhero medium is Invincible Season 4. Mark Grayson and friends are really close to coming back onto our screens for another adventure. How do I know? The Season 4 trailer has dropped and I, your host, will be taking us through each scene and dissecting where Invincible Season 4 is looking to take us. Let's have some fun with it, shall we? Opening up, we have a clean shot of Mark suiting up in the blue Invincible costume. He's nursing wounds and some robotic casts, so this is fresh off his fight from the previous scene. His mother, Debbie, implores Mark to simply take a night off.
Mark, take a night off.
We don't get to take a night off.
Which Mark refuses to do. In the comic books, Blue Suit Mark is almost something akin to Black Suit Spider-Man, signifying he's different. For context of the comparison, if you didn't know, the Black Suit saga shows a darker and more aggressive Spider-Man. And that's what we are in for here with Mark. So to find out he's seemingly overworking himself should come as no surprise. While Blue Suit Mark began in Season 3, this will seemingly be akin to the removal of the symbiote. Start with blue, and as the trailer shows later, get back to yellow. The next scenes involve a light monologue about how Mark seems to have guilt over not taking out Angstrom when he had the chance. The city is in a state of rebuilding, and there is a clear shot of a child's photograph left at the rubble.
If I'd actually killed Angstrom the first time, so many people would still be alive.
People are dead and Mark feels responsible, and it's revealed he's telling this to Cecil. Cecil's trailer scene that follows involves him talking about trauma like what Mark has dealt with breaks people. He seems to explore to Mark that this isn't like him.
I'll do anything to stop that from happening again.
It's not who you are, Mark. But trauma like that breaks people.
Mark seems to be having nightmares of his slugfest from last season, and it's keeping him from sleeping, clearly indicating that the trauma is starting to weigh heavy on Invincible's mind. Elsewhere in a different scene, Eve is struggling with her powers in a grassy field. Around her are puddles of failed matter manipulation, so something isn't quite right with her abilities.
Changing Mark and not for the better. Oh God.
We'll figure this out, okay?
This seems to be the follow-up of the end of Season 3. At this point in the comics, everything was leading for a pregnancy for Adam Eve, but we'll see if the show takes that path. Mark is doing his best to assure Adam Eve that they will figure this out. This would quickly be followed up by the next scene featuring the Guardians of the Globe.
We need to show the world that even after everything that happened, the Guardians are still here.
In the aftermath of Conquest and the Invincible War, it seems the GDA want people to know they're quote-unquote safe, at least as safe as one can get. It should be pointed out that the Guardians now sport Brit on the team. The Guardians are in action, though as we get our first reveal at the return of the Flaxons. The Society of Flaxons is coming from a place where time moves at accelerated speeds. Those of you who have read the comics can see where this part of the story could be heading. Following the scene with the reintroduction of the Guardians, we have the most notable thing so far, the introduction of the new character, Dinosaurus, to the mix.
Fighting to keep everyone safe.
Come on!
In the comics, Dinosaurus would swiftly find himself a major player in the Invincible world, so for those of you not familiar with the character, he is definitely someone to look out for, especially due to some of the ramifications he brings to the Invincible universe. Yeah, good luck, Las Vegas. In this case, though, he seems to be having a confrontation with Invincible. It should also be noted that Dinosaurs will arrive with the voice of Matthew Rise. For those of you privy to the direct-to-DVD animated Watchmen, he voiced Owlman. Following our first look at Dinosaurus, we get to see a laser blast through a wall, and then another new character in all her glory, Universa.
From what might be coming our way.
She was recently announced to be played by Danae Guerrera, a great pick that sees her return to a show with Steven Yeun. Walking Dead fans are really enjoying themselves with this one. Luckily, Yoon's character isn't having his head beaten by Jeffrey Dean Morgan. That was last season. When the scene gets cut away, we get Britt coming face to face in a way with what seems to be a massive gateway for the Flaxons. Their equipment and army are going to and from through the large orange portal. They seem to be serving as the major threat for the Earthbound heroes, because the next scene indicates what Mark and company could be very well getting up to: war. At some point, Alan the Alien and our meme hero Omni-Man will make their way back to Earth.
I'm sorry, Mark. We need your help.
The scene following Britt's gaze at the Flaxon portal shows Alan and Nolan hovering above Mark and Eve. They have come for Mark because they need his help.
How do you feel about war?
A real deal war is coming for the Invincible universe as Alan asks Mark his feelings on war. We get a sharp cut to a dark and stormy planet Viltrum. A real deal looks at the state of the planet as things now stand. The environment coming across as cold and otherwise depressing is very well done.
Viltrumites will always be a threat to Earth.
Zooming into what seems to be the Grand Regent Thrag's room, we see more of the Viltrumites, a whole set of them that we, the viewer, have not seen before. Then we switch over to a scene of a Viltrumite woman in space, seemingly surrounded by Viltrumite ships. We get a scene of Viltrumite domination in action as a laser blasts down on an unamusing planet, taking out a Unipin seemingly for the love of the game, as Nolan narrates that Viltrum will always be a threat to Earth. The allusions in this trailer to the adaptation of the Viltrumite War are very well done. Viltrum is a threat that can no longer be ignored, it seems, and this is proof of the destruction that they can bring with them, if they were bothering to try. The next scene has me a bit excited as we have a clean look at Tech Jacket, one of the strongest characters in Invincible lore.
But each day, we add more allies to break their hold on the galaxy. Together, we have a chance to end this war forever.
Blasting a massive laser straight from his forehead. Oh, I love it. This switch begins to cue us up for what I like to think of as the we're putting together a team style part of the trailer. First was the aforementioned Tech Jacket, then we have the likes of Battle Beast. There's a clean shot of a ship exploding and Tech, Invincible, and Alan facing the impact of the explosion, only for the trailer to indicate the Space Racer as the reason for the ship exploding, another member of the growing coalition of planet's combatants. All the while this is being narrated over by Peter Cullen's Thetis. Optimus Prime can make anything sound cool and inspirational, let's be honest. Thetis seems to be taking a much more heavy-handed approach now that he knows he has people on his side. The first Viltrumite to change sides is rallying the troops. A real showing of Tech Jacket's immense power follows as he single-handedly obliterates a ship. Epic. Usually, Tech Jacket is depicted as someone with immense powers thanks to his alien suit he wears.
I can help. How much does this job pay?
Immediately following the Tech Jacket scene, we are welcomed with a showing of Oliver's aging progress, as well as his mindset, offering to help stop the war and wanting to know how much money he would make doing it.
No tricks this time.
How do I know you're telling the truth?
You'll have to trust me.
We circle back to Omni-Man's plea for Mark's help in the next trailer scene, claiming there are no tricks, no secondary objectives in this case. This isn't a Thraxan ushering him to help under false pretext. This is Nolan asking for his son to help. When posed with a question of how Mark could know Nolan was telling him the truth, it boils down to Nolan saying Mark will just have to trust him, something I have to imagine will be difficult considering everything they've gone through. So a lot of the interpersonal conflict will most likely stem from them needing to put their differences aside in service of the greater good.
There will be loss.
In a blink in, you'll miss it next trailer scene, Nolan and Alan are standing on a desolate planet as something blocks out the sun. Perhaps it's a planet toppled by Viltrum, with Nolan and Alan just seeing the aftermath, though it could also be the home planet of the Ragnar. A really clear day look at the Ragnar comes next, seemingly shattering out of some ice. Seen briefly when going over Conquest's origin, I believe, the Ragnar are one of the only things strong enough to hurt Viltrumites, so this ragtag group seems to want them on their side for the upcoming Viltrumite war. Ragnar aren't exactly cooperative though, clearly as we see one slash Alan cleanly across his chest. Their teeth and claws are extremely dangerous. Rough.
There will be sacrifice.
I'm sorry.
War seems to commence though, as the following scene shows opposing ships coming to meet over the planet, which a logical guess and prior comic knowledge would point to the planet below possibly being the Coalition's home turf, or perhaps it's planet Flaxen. A lot of contenders this season. Viltrumite surface shown to be littered with the torn apart bodies of the super aliens. Blood just everywhere. A visually cool but brief scene is blue-suited Mark shown with fire genuinely reflecting in his lenses. Mark does have the fire in his eyes to get stuff done this season. A clean shot next shows yellow-suited Mark raising his fist, slamming down, and when he does so, it shifts to blue-suited Mark slamming down and crushing in someone's head.
Face judgment for the evils of our past, if we want any hope to change our future.
This is serious, Shapesmith.
This is fruit punch. Would you like some?
Mark on a warpath will very much be a more aggressive Invincible. Whoever that is will be dealing with a serious headache. We get an indication of what's to come next as Omni-Man seemingly tries and backs out of talking with his estranged wife Debbie, though Debbie won't let it slide, opening the door and catching Omni-Man. Within the confines of the comic, it's a tough conversation, but it does eventually culminate in reconciliation. Now to see if the cartoon follows the same path. We get a look at a different planet, one with a ring around it in the same vein as Saturn. This could very well be planet Viltrum, as the comics show Viltrum with a ring of its own. If that were the case, I have to wonder if the cartoon will go the extra mile and show what Viltrum rings are made of. The corpses of the dead Viltrumites. We get a shot of the Guardians once again as Shapesmith enjoys a nice beverage while they discuss changing their future. There isn't a lot to the scene, it's just funny. Though it seems they are aboard one of the ships. Could they be joining a fight? Or perhaps they're taking the fight to the Flaxens. Now, the follow-up cuts to what seems to be our new adventure into the Damien Darkblood side story teed up at the end of the last season. At least I'm speculating it as a flaming skeletal woman sends lava monsters off at an unknown threat. Something to point out is that the hellscape story that Damien Darkblood set up at the end of the last season isn't something from the comic books. Series creator Robert Kirkman indicated that this was a cut story that he gets a chance to do within the realm of the animated universe. How exciting. Now, since this one doesn't really have a comic piece to base itself off of, I can offer my genuine thoughts. Hell, the underworld, or whatever Invincible's equivalent is trying to break its way out and rise up on Earth. All the war illusions would make sense. We get Universa doing battle with Adam Eve, Space Racer charging through the skies, and then a scene of 3 individuals charging downward in tandem flight. If you don't know, then spoilers ahead, but this looks to be about the climax of the Viltrumite War, when Nolan, Mark, and Thetis charge through and destroy planet Viltrum. An exciting piece to read that looks like it will be a joy to watch in motion. Back seemingly in Hell, it looks to be some Hell Ward of sorts, with Darkblood armoring up to combat what I could only assume is the lady from the earlier scenes. A lot of this season seems to be themed around various factions of the Invincible universe going to war, as I mentioned earlier, and with that, Darkblood seems to be a line of defense. His work up on Earth being insensitive for him to protect, it is my personal theory, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Is everyone ready?
Yes!
We follow up with a look at Alan and his girlfriend, then Battle Beast, Alan, and Oliver in combat. Battle Beast bringing the proverbial hammer down on one of the Viltrumites is met with a great deal of impact. The animation really does look excellent in this trailer, I gotta give it to them. Lots of Viltrumite fights and what looks to be Battle Beast taking the fight to some soldiers. A lot of what we can infer to be the back half of the season seems to be a plentiful amount of fighting set pieces, so if you felt season 3 lacked those, somehow, cause like, come on, did you see Conquest? Then this season more than makes up for it. There is a quick look at some massive centipede-like bug monsters that Nolan will come face to face with. Perhaps it's another creature that can be the Viltrumites? We'll know for sure when the season rolls around.
We stick together. That's how we win this.
Leave no one alive.
As well as a beautiful shot of someone barreling right through a ship. The animation in this season of Invincible seems to continue its upward trend of improvement. Then, the team-up shot. Tech Jacket, Alan, A Clear Day, yellow-suited Invincible, Thetis, Oliver, Omni-Man, and the Battle Beast all floating shoulder to shoulder. Not a bad team-up. A skull is shown next, the skull of possibly King Argyle. We see a man begin to step down the steps of his throne. We close out on a wonderful shot of Grand Regent Thrag, voiced by Lee Pace, declaring to leave no one alive. I am patiently waiting to see if people don't walk out alive. If you know the comics, you know the obvious pick, but hey, there is always the chance that they can change it up. New season of Invincible begins March 18th. Hell of a way to fire things up. Like the video and want to see more? Click the link above.